Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. For today, I'm going to be showing you how to make this super cute, simple, and easy birthday card. I actually participated in our team swap this month, and this is a card that I made for our swaps, and I had to, I think I made 20 or so of them, and I whipped them out in like an hour or so. So this card is a super good one to have kind of in your arsenal because you can mass produce them really quickly. The other great thing about this one is that you can change the color scheme to fit anybody. So if you have somebody that their favorite color is pink, you can use this color scheme, but you could switch it up and do purple or green, blue, orange, yellow, whatever color you wanted to do, and it would work perfect. So I'm super excited to show you guys this card today. This is also a different card because it opens up a different way than my usual cards are. This is still an A2 size card, so it's still 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, but it opens up top. It opens up instead of to the side. I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore, so I'm just going to show you guys what we need. Because this stamp set requires multi-step stamping, we're going to be doing, or we're going to need quite a few different ink colors for today. So to run through all of these really fast, for the frosting of our cupcake, I'm going to be using Rose Red, Melon Mambo, and Blushing Bride. So those are going to be our 3 pink colors to make our frosting. Then for the cupcake base, we're going to be using Sahara Sand, Crumb Cake, and Soft Suede. So I find that that makes a really nice cupcake base. We're also going to be using Versamark ink because this wish here is actually gold embossed and then I cut it out. So you can do that if you have the gold metallic sheets. You could definitely use those as well. I just like using the embossing powder because I feel like I always have it on hand and I never have to worry about if I have paper or not. So we're going to be using our Versamark and our gold embossing powder. We're also going to be using some liquid glue. I usually don't use liquid glue, so I wanted to point that out as a supply that we will be using. For the stamps, wow, why can I not think? For the stamp sets, we're going to be using the Sweet Cupcake stamp set as well as the Cupcake Cutouts Framelits dies. These two coordinate together. They're in a bundle in the annual catalog. So these two are definitely awesome. I love these. I've used these. Like I said, I did that card and I used it a few other times. I think they're just really great. It's a great birthday set to have on hand. So we're going to be using both of those. And then for our paper for today, we are going to be using some Whisper White. So this piece of Whisper White, I'm looking at my cheat sheet. This is cut at 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And then I have a couple scraps of Whisper White. It doesn't really matter what size these are. You just need a couple pieces. One that's large enough to do our wish, and then the other that's large enough to do our cupcake. So you don't need huge pieces of scrap paper, and really I highly suggest using your scrap paper for something like this. Don't worry about cutting up a brand new sheet unless you don't have any scraps laying around. That's why I keep all of my substantially sized scraps so that I can use it for stuff like that. Oh, sorry, my phone is going off. So then the other layer that we're going to have on this card is Melon Mambo, and this is going to be cut at 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then our card base for today, because we're doing an open, I don't even know what you call this, a card that opens from the top. You guys know what I'm trying to say. This piece is cut at 11 inches by 4 1/4. So, whoops, sorry guys. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I want to start by getting all of our stamping done. So the first thing that we're going to do is use our embossing powder and make our little piece of Whisper White into gold paper. I'm going to be using this scratch piece of paper. Like I said earlier, I've made this card quite a few times, so there's some gold on there already, but I'm going to use our smaller scrap. If you have one a little bit larger scrap and you're going to be using that for all of your stamping and cutting, of course do that. This is just the piece that I'm going to be using to do the gold embossing on. And I'm just going to take my Versamark ink and I'm going to get my little piece of paper all inked up, and I'm inking up the entire piece of paper. Just like that. And then I'm going to just simply take my embossing powder. Now I find it easiest to kind of hold the piece of paper by the two little corners, and I should have opened this all the way, but I think I can do it with one hand. There we go. I find it easiest to hold the paper kind of like this, and then just sprinkle the embossing powder on, and then let it fall off. And I found that that's the best way to get the most even coverage, and then you can just rotate it around and get that last little edge. And if there's any spots that you feel like you didn't get very well, you can just go over it again and clean that up. So I'm going to put all of my embossing powder back into the little container. Set that piece of paper off to the side because we don't need it anymore. And I did also want to mention that this is really a cost-effective way to get glitter metallics on your cards. I mean, the embossing powder is not as metallic as the metallic sheets that we have, but it's definitely a more cost-effective way to do it, and I think that's why I like using it. I mean, I got this little pot of embossing powder, I think like at least a year ago. I know that for sure. And I use it all the time, not just for this project, but for a ton of other projects. And I still have over half of what initially came in here. So a little bit of embossing powder goes a long way. So just keep that in mind. It is definitely a fun technique to try. And once you get the hang of it, the possibilities are endless, really. So I'm going to go ahead and heat set this, and then I will be right back as soon as I'm done. Okay, so now we have our little piece. It's all nice and embossed and gold and shiny and pretty. If you feel like you didn't get really even coverage or you missed a bunch of spots, you can go ahead and take your Versamark pad and do a second coat. You can do numerous coats. I think I've done up to 3 coats before. And then I just didn't need to do any more. But you can do a number of coats to get it until you really like it. For me, I'm not super concerned because we are just cutting one word out of this, so it's not like we're going to be doing a full shape with this, so I don't need it to be super consistent all the way through. So I'm going to leave mine like this. I'm going to set it off to the side. Now I'm going to bring in my other little scrap that I have and move some stuff around, and we're going to start doing our cupcake. So for the cupcake, when you open up your stamp set, you have 6 stamps up here. 3 are for the frosting and 3 are for the little cupcake base. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the frosting. For this, I like to take the cover sheet off of my stamps just because you're switching them out so frequently that I find it's easier. So you're going to start with the number 3 on here, and that's going to be your first layer. And that's also going to be your lightest color. So for this, we're going to use Blushing Bride. And get that nice and inked up, and just down and up. Perfect. Close this, set that off to the side. I'm going to clean my stamps off to the side right away because I'm going to reuse this same block just to make it easy on myself. And most of you probably don't have 20 acrylic blocks sitting around at home, so this is probably what you would do as well. I'm going to move on next to the number 2, which is the next, the image that has the next least amount of area. I don't know what I'm trying to say. So anyways, we're just going to continue on with the stamping. So for this, we're going to be using Melon Mambo and ink this bad boy right up. The other good thing about this stamp set is, sorry if you guys can see my head, I'm going to try and center this as best as possible from where I'm sitting. But what I was going to say is the really cool thing about this, so see how this is I stamped it a little off. The nice thing about this set is that when you cut it out with the framelits, you really don't notice it. If you accidentally stamp off a little bit, you really honestly don't notice it. So that's another big plus with this one. And then we're going to use the number 1, which has the least amount of stamping area on it. And for this, we're going to be using Rose Red. This just makes a really pretty color combination. I really, really like this color combination. But as I was saying before, you could do whatever colors you wanted to whatever colors the person that you're going to give this to, whatever their favorite colors are, use those. I mean, it's really up to you. It's really, you're making this card for somebody, so make it custom, make it however you want to make it. That's the beauty of doing handmade cards and stamping. You can really do whatever you want to do. So now we're going to move on to the base. And again, we're going to start with the number 3, and that has the largest area for stamping. We're going to start with Sahara sand. And I'm going to do it right on the same piece of paper. There is a little bit of white edge around when you use the framelits, but it's not that bad. It's not that big of a space around, so I'm not going to worry. I'm not going to be too concerned. I should have plenty of space between those two. Next, we're going to use crumb cake. And we're using the number 2 from the base. I'm going to try to line these up as best as I can without, I think I just stuck my head all the way in the camera. I don't know. I try to get as close as I can without putting my noggin right in there. Luckily, I don't have the camera, the tripod right in front of me. It's actually on the opposite side of the desk, so that really helps, but sometimes it's a little too far away when I set it up, so anyways. And then we're going to use the number 1, which just has a few lines on it. This one doesn't have much, so if you only had a couple of colors and you wanted to leave it at that, I think it looks perfectly fine like that. This just gives a little bit more texture to the right side of the cupcake base. I was really concentrating on that. Oh, and I think I got a little smudge in the middle. But you know what? I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to be super overly concerned. I think it looks okay. Alrighty. So now I'm going to close up this ink pad before I stick my elbow in it. Okay, so now I'm going to bring over my Big Shot. If I can move some stuff out of the way. Bring over my Big Shot, and I'm going to crank this out. I'm going to take my pieces here, and I'm going to grab my framelits. And we're going to be using the wish, the base, and the frosting. Whoops, I just threw that all over, didn't I? Okay. So for the wish, you don't really need to be super particular about where it is as long as it's on your piece of cardstock. That's really all that you care about. For your base and the frosting, you want to be a little bit more conscious of where you're putting these. You want to make sure it's cutting out the image. And again, I'm just using a piece of washi. I still haven't gotten the magnetic plate. I need to buy it. I keep saying I'm going to, and then I never actually do it. But I need to. But for right now, washi works perfectly fine for me, so I'm just moving with it. I'm going to crank these through really fast, and I find you only need to crank it through once. If you're having issues, you might need to do it another time, but I find that I only need to do it once, and it cuts out just fine. So I'm going to move Big Shot back off to the side and bring all of these in. And take everything apart. So there we have our little frosting. And I don't know if you can see, but now that it's cut out, you really can't tell that I didn't stamp perfectly every time. I don't think you can tell, at least. So that's what I'm going with. And then we have our little cupcake base. I mean, I did get a little smudge there and I did a little there. If that bothers you, definitely fix it. But for me, it's so minute that I don't think anybody that didn't know it wasn't supposed to look like that would realize it. And then with our wish, this one usually stays inside of the die once you cut it out. So I usually just take my weeding tool. The one thing that you want to be conscious of is this little loop in the wish. You definitely want to pop that out, because if you don't pop it out while it's still in the Thinlit, it's hard to get out sometimes. And I'm just going to pop this out. I'm going to leave the dot for the eye in there, just because I lost it a couple times when I did the first couple of cards that I was doing for my swaps. I lost it a couple times, So I found that it's much easier to just leave it in here until you are putting it on the card. That is my suggestion. Okay, so now we have all of our little pieces cut out. I'm going to set all of this off to the side because with this card, I find that it's easiest to assemble your base, your layers first, and then put all of your embellishments, or not embellishments, but put all of your images and stuff on. So that's what we're going to do. I'm going to go ahead and grab my 3 pieces here, and I'm going to take my Whisper White, and I think my adhesive is about to run out, so I think I might have to replace it, but we'll go with it. Okay, and then I'm going to take my card base, grab my bone folder, and whoops. Okay, open it up like that, and then stick this down. And I'm just using, whoopsie, I told you it was about to run out. I'm just using regular old adhesive for this, actually, because all my refills are across the room, but I forgot I just got this snail, so I can just use that. And then I'm going to put this onto our card base, just like so. Perfect. So now I think is when it's easiest to start assembling. So I like to kind of prop everything up first and then start sticking stuff down. So I'm going to take all of my little pieces that we just cut out and just kind of see where they go the best. And now keep in mind that we are going to put Make a Big right here. I actually already have those mounted on my little block. So that's going to go right there. So I think that's pretty good as far as where I want all of my embellishments to go. I keep saying embellishments, and I don't know if that's the right word, but I'm going to go with it. So I'm going to take my Wish, and this is where I'm going to use my liquid glue. If you have the fine tip glue pen, I think this would be a really good application for that. I don't actually have that, so I'm just using the liquid glue, which works just as fine. As long as I just do little dots on the major edges and corners and such. And it works just fine for me. There we go. And you have a little bit more playtime with this, so that's why I like that as well. I found that using this little weeding tool that I got, it's a Cricut weeding tool, so it's not a Stampin' Up product, and kind of looping it, and then you can just gently grab it with your, or just mess it up like I just did. You can gently grab it, and then it's a little bit easier to place onto the card. But I'm just going to set it down and then press it just like that. And you can manipulate the Wish and put it wherever you want. I'm also going to take my glue one more time and just put a little tiny dot right there. Grab my Thinlit, Framelit, whatever it is right now. I can't ever remember the difference between the two. And I'm going to put the little dot to my eye right there. So we have one part down. Now I'm going to grab a few dimensionals and put my cupcake on. So I like to do one at a time, just so that I can keep the spacing the way that I like it. Just like so. So I'm going to go ahead and take the backing off of the bottom. And I'm just gonna slide it up there, just like that. Then take the backing off of the frosting. Whoops. Put that on there. And I like to overlap these two just to make it look like it's one cohesive piece. That's the look that I like. And then the final thing to do is I'm going to grab my Melon Mambo one more time. And I've taken the two little sentiments. One says Meka and the other says Big. And I just mounted them up on our little A block. I think that's A. Yes, A block. And I'm just going to stamp it right underneath the cupcake. I recommend putting them on the same block and stamping it all at one time. I just think that it makes it a little bit easier to stamp rather than trying to line up two different sentiments, and you get it all done really quickly. So, close up my ink here. And that's our card for today, guys. I really hope you enjoy. It's super quick and easy, I promise. It seems like it may have taken a little bit of time, but it's really super quick and easy to do. And again, you can mix up the colors, you can mix up the size of the card. You could do a ton of different things with this to make it suitable for anybody. So I really hope you guys enjoy this one, and I will see you next time. Oh, I did want to say, I just posted a few days ago, I have things sticking to the catalog. I posted a few days ago my holiday catalog haul. If you have not received a holiday catalog still, so there were some people that I went ahead and sent those out to. You should have already received those by now. So if you didn't get a holiday catalog in the mail yet and you want one, please go over to my website. It's littlemooncreation.com, and use the contact me form and just get a hold of me, and I will make sure that you get a holiday catalog. So I've already sent a few out. And I'm super excited to start making some projects with this. So be on the lookout for that. And I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye!